Well, the guy that was in the Suburban sat in his vehicle texting and flipping through papers and drove off about 6, 7 minutes ago. I have no idea who he was. Um, I called that Rite Aid manager back, but didn't get a hold to him. He was outside, so I waited and called back 5 minutes later. And then the girl put me on hold, and I waited on hold for 5 minutes. Heard a lot of clicks on the line, but he never answered, so I'll just try to reach him again later. So now I've got to go and put all this stuff in storage so I can pack up mine and Jake's stuff. Kamikaze flew over too right after that white Suburban. That man that was sitting there drove away. It was loud and low, really loud and low. So I'm hoping I'll get 40 hours again next week too. But Elizabeth has been out of the hospital, so she might be back on the schedule. Next week, so my hours might get cut to 20 or 25 hours. I did pretty much everything last night. Let's see, I drained the beer carton, the Red Bull cart, and put ice in both of them. Stocked the front cooler that's by the cigarettes, and the cooler, the other cooler that's right there by the cigarettes too. So those two coolers. I stocked cups and lids, and prepped the coffee for today. Cleaned the coffee pots. Cleaned the cappuccino machine. Wiped down the counters. And swept and mopped the store, cleaned the bathrooms, pulled the outside trash, swept the parking lot, faced the Red Bull cooler, or out of the small Red Bull cans. Stocked the Gatorade cooler and faced it. Faced the iced tea cooler and stocked it as best I could. We're out of the other cans that we didn't have. Closed down lottery, counted lottery. Faced a large cooler and stocked it a little bit, not much. And faced the water cooler, and the monster cooler, did not fill it. Pulled trash inside the store. Dumped the water outside. Put the newspapers out in that newspaper box. Locked up the ice bag cases outside. Locked up the cigarettes case. I did stock 2 or 3 cases of cigarettes, but I didn't stock cigarettes much. And counted Matilda down and did the night paperwork, so I did pretty much everything except for stocking the large cooler and the cooler in the back. It's got the water and the monster drinks and stuff. So I did good. So I'm going to drive over to my storage unit now. I've got to empty this stuff out of the back of the truck. And I still need to find a place for me and Jake to go. What I'm afraid might happen is that Jake and I might come home and find that we've been locked out of our room, or that our stuff's been taken out of our room. Something like that, you know. So, especially since the cops said they couldn't do anything about Darlene changing the lock to our bedroom. You know, then they may not do anything about the rest too. Or maybe they would draw the line at that. I'm not sure, but I can't take the chance. Because yesterday, I think Vicky's son was came over with Vicky, and he was asking Darlene about Xbox video games, and Darlene didn't have an Xbox. She gave Vicky's son, he's a teenage boy with psychiatric problems, she gave him a box of electronics, a Game Boy, and whatever. I don't know, Jake and I were in our room, but I heard him asking her about Xbox, and she was saying something about she was going to give them to him. I don't know what it was, but I was in the living room, but since our room doesn't lock, she was also telling him, that boy, Vicky's son, that he could play video games in her room, and if he came out of the room, just to bring Ellie with him. He's a psychiatric patient. He has tried to kill himself twice in the last 2 or 3 months. Sliced up his arms with razor blades and was hospitalized twice at Brentwood. So, you know, that is not something that I even want to even think about dealing with. If Darlene is planning on allowing this, that's what she told Darlene, was telling the kid yesterday, that I could tell that, you know, he could come to the house and sit in her room and play video games, and I guess she must have given him a key to her room. Because she was telling him if he left her room to make sure he brought Ellie with her. But I can't take responsibility for that if I'm at home alone, or if I'm at home and Jake's home, and she allows this kid to come over. It's Vicky's son, the psychiatric patient I've just been describing. You know, I'm not a psychiatrist, and obviously he has been deemed no longer a threat to himself or anyone else, but they released him from the hospital the first time and probably said the same thing. He went back and he was released again, so you see there's a cycle there, and he may not be a danger to himself now, but obviously he can become a danger to himself again. And I can't take responsibility or be responsible for that, because if I'm the only adult in the house and he's there, then I would be responsible for supervising him. Or maybe I wouldn't be, but I would be the adult there. And I don't know if I could be cited for failure to supervise if he tried to kill himself again in the house while I was there. And or if he did something like that to himself and actually did kill himself. Maybe third time's the charm, I don't know, but you know, if something like that was to happen again, like it has already twice in the last 2 or 3 months, I don't want to be in a situation where something like that's happened, you know. I can't take responsibility for that, and the police, I would have to call and report it to the police and say that the kid was a psych patient and was not being supervised by anyone. And if he's in Darlene's room, I would